Lot of corny, man. A lot of corny rappers, man. I'm just like, yo, man. I could name a list of 100 corny rappers, yo, right now. Man from New York. They ain't supposed to be rapping. I mean, who really like these? Tell me, I want to know somebody.
Welcome to New Viral Drama, where the messiest secrets in Hollywood don't just leak. They get blasted in full HD with receipts and attitude. If you grew up when hip-hop was more than just TikTok clips and catchy hooks, when it was raw truth from the trenches, then you already know the pain. Some of the realest interviews just vanish, gone without a trace, whole conversations wiped from YouTube like they never even happened, deleted, erased, ghosted, and guess when it usually happens? Right when the artists start spilling too much truth. Once they start calling out the snakes in the industry and pointing fingers at the powerful people behind the curtains, those clips get scrubbed clean real quick. That's exactly what went down with legends like DMX and Prodigy from Mobb Deep.
Group that was formed like in the 1700s, something like that, 1600s. This dude named Adam Weishaupt. He started this group of people, like powerful, rich people that basically could shape popular opinion and the way, the world is gonna move forward.
Both of them didn't hold back. They straight up warned us about the twisted games going on in the music industry. They named names. Yeah, we're talking Diddy, Jay-Z, and even deeper shadow figures pulling the strings behind closed doors. They weren't just rapping, they were revealing, talking about control, manipulation, and how the top dogs play dirty to stay on top. But just like that, those interviews got wiped like they never existed. The internet didn't glitch.
A lot of times people say, you're a conspiracy theorist, you watch too many movies or something like that, But a lot of stuff I was learning was very real.
Someone made sure those videos disappeared. Why? Because what they said hit too close to home. It rattled the people running the show, the ones who smile in front of the camera but keep the real control in the dark. The truth they dropped was a threat, and they paid the price. DMX wasn't just barking on tracks. He was dropping warnings in plain sight. In multiple interviews, he talked about an industry twisted up in control, manipulation, and straight-up fear tactics. He painted a picture of certain moguls running the show, and guess whose names kept popping up? Yup.
About speaking my mind and letting people know what time it is. There's no reason for me to fear because it's really nothing. There's nothing they can do besides and I'm not afraid of that. Ritualistic and rituals on little, they little kids doing satanic rituals. Like this stuff is really going on in this world. Like you know what I mean? You got sick people like Jeffrey Dahmer and different people like that. And I believe that it was a different background to it, why he was doing what he was doing. I think it was some ritualistic things going on.
Diddy and Jay-Z, over and over again. And it wasn't just DMX saying it. Prodigy from Mobb Deep, he went even harder. This man was fearless, always calling out the shady puppet masters behind the scenes. Not just in music, but in the world at large. He believed there was a whole structure of power built to keep artists trapped and obedient while the real shot callers stayed in the shadows. Now here's the sketchy part. Most of those videos where they said all this, poof, gone, wiped clean like they were never recorded. But not all of them disappeared. A few still exist, and they hit hard.
Like I said, I had the crazy track record, Def Jam, everything was good. I go to do the 6th album. And,
Jay-Z became president.
Yeah. When he first got the job, he hit me with the call like, yo, dog, inmates is running the building like, yo, you good? Finished the album, shoot the video. So what happened? She didn't, we don't know. What you mean you don't know? How do you listen to a whole album, pick a single, shoot a video, then don't know?
Let's break down what DMX and Prodigy were actually trying to tell us, and why certain people might be sweating bullets hoping you never hear it. First up, DMX. In 2007, he hit HBO's Def Poetry Jam with a piece called The Industry. And whoo, he came for everybody. It wasn't a poem, it was a straight-up expose in verse. He called out how the game pressures artists to sell their soul, change who they are, and bow down just to survive. DMX didn't sugarcoat a single word. He said the game was rigged and there were devils at the top. DMX wasn't just out here ranting about bad contracts or crooked record execs. He believed this whole industry was part of something way darker.
Why is the industry bowing down to Desiree Perez? Is it because of her connection to Jay-Z? It can, because a lot of people is connected to Jay-Z. There's a lot of agents and employees at Roc Nation. Desiree Perez just happens to have the juice. And one can say it's probably the ties to the cartel. She probably knows how to make the skeletons disappear.
He saw it as a full-blown spiritual war, with artists caught in the middle of a battle between light and straight-up evil. In his tracks and interviews, X kept bringing up the devil, and not just metaphorically. He claimed there were real forces in the industry pushing artists to give up more than just their art, to sell their soul. And according to him, certain big names were tied to that darkness, acting like gatekeepers for something way more sinister. One of the most jaw-dropping moments came in 2013, when DMX sat down with Dr. Phil. With a straight face, he said he didn't just meet the devil once, but 3 times. Yeah, 3 separate encounters. And he wasn't backing down either. X said if you want to truly understand this world, you gotta look at both sides, then choose which one you're riding with. But that wasn't the first time he dropped bombs like this. Back in 2009, while locked up in Arizona, DMX gave a jailhouse interview that had people shook. He said he met the devil in what he called God's country. He didn't drop any names, but you could tell whatever went down out there hit him deep, because he said clear as day, I'm never going back there again.
First meeting I ever had, I was like, we gotta sign DMX, and they laughed at me. I remember when I left the office, Tina Davis said, she knew what I wanted to sign DMX. She said, if DMX don't sell, your ass is fired. Jay and Dame did not believe in DMX. Jay would be like, you think he's better than me? And I'd be like, he's nice just like you. I said, if you look in the hood, there's less of like you and more like him. Yeah, but he don't want to live that. He's depressing, Gotti. And I said, I don't give a f. So Jay used to watch me grind with X, and he was off with the Hitman. And then something strange happened when I made Get At Me Dog. If you remember at the beginning of the video, it's the heartbeats, toom toom, DMX, toom toom, live at the tunnel. Y'all don't even remember the tunnel. Funk Master Voice, doom doom, and then I put that sound bite. Let's take it back to the streets, mother. Doom doom. The video's flashing, f***ing up your eyes. It caused change, and now there was no more shiny suits. We back to the hood, and X is the leader of this revolution. I used to put on the wall a triangle with 5. And it was like, they used to clown me. And they used to be like, who's gonna buy his records, Gotti? Chihuahuas, he's barking. No one wants to hear that bullshit. And I'd be like, yeah. Sold 5. It was no more writing on the walls. It was, y'all can get behind me. I used to tell Leo in the midst of the whole staff, and I would tell him, yo, shut the f up, yo. I said, you work better when you shut up and get behind me. Now this is what we doing. And he would shut up.
Whatever X saw, it changed him forever. And the way he talked about it, you just know he wasn't making it up. So what was DMX really saying when he talked about meeting the devil in Arizona? Was it just deep metaphor? Or was he low-key confessing something very real? Maybe it wasn't some fire and brimstone creature. Maybe it was a powerful figure who came with an offer. You know the type. Smile in your face, contract in hand, but every signature comes with invisible chains. Maybe that was the moment X had to decide, sell out for comfort or stand tall and pay the price. And let's not act like he wasn't brave enough to name names. Over the years, DMX called out some of the biggest players in the game, Jay-Z, Diddy, and even industry titans like Lyle Cohen. All of them were top of the food chain, basically untouchable at the time. But X didn't care. He saw through the smoke and wasn't afraid to speak on it. Now here's where things get real dark.
Incredible parents, 3 other brothers, and just a loving, happy family. My dad was the head of psychiatry for Kaiser Permanente, and my mother was just a housewife and raising children, and just remarkable period of my life.
Now, I've always assumed that you were born in Israel because you have a slight accent when you speak. Have you heard this before?
Yeah, so my parents weren't immigrants because they weren't staying here.
Okay.
So my biological father was coming here just for his education. And my mother worked for the Israeli government. And so when I was born, I went straight back to Israel.
Oh, so you stayed there for a while.
I spent my first 3 years in Petach Tikva.
Okay, and after you graduated, you went to go work for the Bank of Leumi?
Yeah, Bank Leumi is the National Bank of Israel. My mother got me the job, and it was just when the Shah fell in Iran, and all of the Jewish Persians came straight to Beverly Hills. So we were counting money there.
A lot of money.
And, you know, I was supposed to be a financial analyst, but I ended up counting money, and I think I was making $14,000 a year. I was miserable. It was a horrible existence. But my mother got me the job. I have a college degree, and so I thought that was the responsible thing for me to do.
In a rare, old-school interview, DMX accused Diddy of something extremely serious. He said Diddy R-worded his artists, and no, he didn't laugh, didn't flinch. Some fans think DMX meant financial abuse, like straight-up robbing them in contracts, but others, they believe he meant it literally. Especially now, looking back at all the lawsuits, testimonies, and sickening stories that have surfaced in recent years. And with Jay-Z, things got personal. After Jay took over as president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX claimed Jay purposely blocked the release of his album Year of the Dog again. Why? According to X, Jay never really wanted to retire. And when he came back, he saw DMX as competition. So instead of support, Jay allegedly put up walls. DMX wasn't just beefing, he was calling out an entire system. And now, years later, we're starting to see just how deep it really goes. But DMX's beef with Jay-Z wasn't just about albums and egos, it went way deeper. What really disgusted X was who Jay was aligned with behind the scenes. One name kept coming up.
The industry. Man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent, it's about playing the game. The industry. Real is dying to get in. The industry, justifying they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going dress like this and talk with the bat. The industry got your word meaning nothing. The industry, what you heard because he's bluffing. The industry, money, hate, but I dare you to try to take a thing off my plate if you ain't got a strong mind. The industry will break you down, it's a matter of time. The industry, vultures with nothing to feast on. See me, I'm getting my beast on. The industry, stay in the dirt, play in the dirt, test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry. Industry, wanted, dead or alive, new artists to sell their souls in the way they survive. The industry don't give a about you, but the industry couldn't make a dime without you.
Lyor Cohen. Yeah, that Lyor Cohen, the same industry giant who's been accused of pushing the glamorization of substance use straight through the artists he signs. He's been linked to the rise of the opioid wave in hip-hop, and folks say he knew exactly what he was doing, signing artists who promote pills and lean, while the streets paid the price. And guess what? Jay-Z called this man his mentor. In his own memoir, Decoded, Jay literally wrote, Lyor Cohen, who I consider my mentor, once told me something that he was told by a rabbi about the 8 degrees of giving in Judaism. That's how close they were. But here's where things get sketchy. Lyor might be one of the biggest movers in the industry, but his name is always floating around controversy.
Like the devil in God's country. You know, and it's not so much who, it's what, you know, what happened.
Some conspiracy theorists even claim he's a CIA plant, sent into hip-hop to push certain agendas from the inside. Sounds wild, maybe, but check this out. In a 2023 interview with Vlad TV, Lyor made a strange slip. At first, he said his mom was just a housewife. Harmless, right? But later in the same interview, he accidentally let it slip that she worked for the Israeli government. That little mix-up had people raising eyebrows, because in this industry, when someone as powerful as Lyor gets caught changing their backstory, it makes people wonder what else they're hiding. Now this gets real grimy. Jay-Z himself hasn't exactly dodged the smoke either. He's been hit with wild allegations, not just industry drama, but whispers of him being tied to government agencies. And how? Through his right-hand woman and Roc Nation president Desiree Perez, who has a documented past as a federal informant. That connection alone had people side-eyeing Jay for years.
A real bad problem, DMX.
I'm so sad. DMX, there's two people inside of him. And the Earl is one of the nicest people. I put him up in Lake George. Earl loved being silent with a fishing pole. I shit you not. He just would stay on that dock hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah, very, very sad. You know, I think the opiate problem, the syrup problem, is the biggest problem that I've ever seen and I've ever faced, and been a part of. And I can't with it. You know, the crack thing was devastating, but at least the rappers were bringing a spotlight to you becoming a fiend. Okay? And I thought that spotlight, head crack, helped, even though it was harsh and really really rough, particularly on women. But I think it helped change the course of the crack epidemic. I don't know what's this opioid thing, man.
But being a crackhead wasn't cool back then. Being a crackhead wasn't cool. Now they seem like they're making it cool to be drinking lean and syrup and.
It's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic. Yeah. I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
You're gonna make Dame Dash take this clip and call you a culture vulture.
Who's Dame Dash? You brought him up. I don't even know him. So you bring his name up. I don't even know him. So
y'all made a lot of money together.
Made a lot of money.
Come on, Leo. Don't do that to him.
I don't know him. I really don't. So, I don't know what to tell you. I won't be complicit.
Now back to Lear and DMX. This part, straight up disgusting. After DMX tragically passed in 2021 from a suspected overdose, Liar didn't show respect. He showed his true colors. According to Billboard, Liar called X a gremlin and said, "So the race against time was X. X was a gremlin, reckless and looking for a wall to crash into. His death is no surprise if you listened to and watched what X was." Let that sink in. The man had just died, and Lear basically said he brought it on himself. That's not just cold, that's straight evil. X battled demons, sure, but to throw dirt on his name right after his death? That says a lot about who's really behind the scenes pulling strings. And here's the kicker. Liar had the audacity to later claim he helped DMX's career. But according to Irv Gotti, before his passing, the truth was the exact opposite.
The Hip Hop Task Force was created to watch Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, to watch the artists that was connected with P. Diddy.
3 conversations with the devil. Why with the devil?
Well, to make a fair decision, I think you have to be aware of both sides. And I was approached, so of course I had a conversation. It doesn't mean I rode with him or believed him. I just was able to recognize him by what he said to me and what he offered me. Say, oh.
Irv said Liar and Jay-Z used to laugh at X behind his back, thinking he'd never blow up. But guess what? X proved them all wrong. Now, if we're talking about bold voices who exposed Jay-Z and his high-level ties and then died under suspicious circumstances, we can't skip Prodigy. Yeah, that Prodigy, the one who stayed calling out the so-called elites. He wasn't just throwing around the word Illuminati for shock value, he meant it. And he swore what he uncovered went way deeper than internet conspiracy talk. He believed there was a real structure of control hidden in plain sight. And once you speak out, you're marked. Now let's get into the real tension between Prodigy and Jay-Z, a beef that ran deep through the heart of New York's rap scene in the late 90s and early 2000s. While Jay later claimed they squashed it before Prodigy passed, the story didn't end there. Things got even darker after a leaked jailhouse letter surfaced. And what was in it? Straight up chilling. Most major media wiped that letter clean, like it never existed. But if you know where to look, old forums, obscure blogs, underground sites, it's still out there. And what Prodigy wrote? It's the kind of stuff that would make any power player sweat. He claimed Jay-Z knew exactly who controlled the industry and society. But instead of warning the people or taking a stand, Prodigy said Jay sided with them. He wrote that the government, religion, politics, the IRS, all of it was a big joke, a system built to control minds. And Jay, according to Prodigy, he chose to roll with the elite. Prodigy said Jay concealed the truth from the black community and the world, and instead pushed the lifestyle of the beast.
You've had a song on every album, A Conversation with God.
Yes.
You've had...
And a prayer.
And a prayer, and I think you've had...
Three conversations with the devil.
Three conversations with the devil. Why with the devil?
Well, to make a fair decision, I think you have to be aware of both sides. And I was approached, so of course I had a conversation. It doesn't mean I rode with him or believed him. I just was able to recognize him by what he said to me and what he offered me. Say, oh, now I know you are. That's why I stopped talking to him. I've put out 7 albums, but he's only on 3.
Just to stay rich, powerful, and accepted in the corporate world. But Prodigy wasn't backing down. In that same letter, he vowed, I will continue to relentlessly attack Jay-Z, the Illuminati, and every other evil that exists until my lights are put out. I fear nothing and no one. Then he added something heavy. I'm fearless cause the truth has set me free from the Illuminati's mental enslavement. I've been empowered by God and the universe. And just 5 months before his sudden death, Prodigy dropped what would be his final album, Hegelian Dialectic, the Book of Revelation. This wasn't just music, it was a manifesto. He went all in on exposing secret societies, hidden agendas, corrupt systems, and the invisible hands that run the world behind closed doors. He was warning us, and then he was gone. On top of everything, Prodigy was reportedly cooking up something huge before his death, a full-blown musical based on his Illuminati theories. Yeah, a stage production diving deep into secret societies and the elite's grip on the industry. But just when it was all starting to take shape.
I in Arizona, man, and I remember one day coming from the studio at 6 o'clock in the morning and pulling over on the highway. We like 4 cars, you know, just to watch the sunrise. And it was at that point that I fell in love with Arizona. I said, you know what, this has to be God's country. You know, because I'd never seen anything as beautiful as that sunrise. Then I met the devil in God's country. You know, and it's not so much who, it's what, you know, what happens and the things that the devil does. It's not so much a person, even though he acts through people. You know, you can't call one person the devil.
Joe Arpaio?
You know, you can't call any one person the devil. You can't do that because no one person has enough power to be the devil. You know, and you know, it's through all these hardships that I realized that, you know what, this is God's country because I met the devil here. Because if I hadn't met the devil here, I wouldn't realize I was strong enough to overcome the obstacles that the devil would place in my path. And it's by overcoming these obstacles that I realized that this is God's country. Because he helped me get over these obstacles. He helped me get over these hurdles.
Okay, so but when you're done here, when you're out of here,
I'm not looking back.
You're not coming back?
No, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back for a show. I'm not coming back for a visit. I'm not even driving through the states. If I'm in a plane and they're gonna fly over it, I'm gonna go around.
Boom. His life was cut short on June 20th, 2017. Now here's where things get real suspicious. Prodigy had sickle cell disease, and at first, everyone assumed his passing was connected to that. But when the official report dropped, it claimed he choked on a boiled egg in a hospital. A boiled egg? In a hospital room? Come on. The whole thing smelled off. So much so, Prodigy's family ended up suing Spring Valley Medical Center in Las Vegas. They said the staff messed up bad, failing to maintain his IV, not following doctors' orders, and worst of all, not watching his oxygen levels when he was already vulnerable. Medical neglect, maybe, but for fans, it didn't stop there. Because here's the wild part. Nobody ever explained how a man could choke to death on a soft-boiled egg while in a medical facility under supervision.
Like, damn. I'm glad,
And this isn't the only thing that DMX talked about. He also talked about how there were people in the industry that basically wanted to take you out to dinner and stuff to get a hold of your music. And you cannot tell me that DMX was not talking about Diddy, because the first thing that I thought of is when 50 Cent said that Diddy asked to take him shopping.
Now, when it comes to Jay-Z, after he became president of Def Jam,
and let's be honest, most fans never bought that story in the first place. A lot of people still believe Prodigy was silenced for talking too much, going too deep, and naming too many names, especially when you connect the dots. Jay-Z, Diddy, secret societies, power games, and one man calling them all out. Now take a step back and really think about this. DMX and Prodigy both spoke fearlessly. They dropped names. They exposed backdoor deals, hidden agendas, and warned us about the forces pulling strings behind the scenes. And what happened next? Both men died under strange, unexplained, or suspicious circumstances. Two of the realest voices in hip-hop, gone. But what if it wasn't just tragedy? What if it was a message? So now the question is, was it all just coincidence? Or were DMX and Prodigy silenced for getting too close to the truth? Did they really pay the ultimate price for exposing what the industry doesn't want us to know? Or is this just a case of conspiracy rumors spiraling out of control? I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe these legends were targeted? Drop your take in the comments below. And if you're just as shook as we are, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video so more people can see what's really going down behind the curtain. Don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. We've got way more truth to unpack. And now, check out this next video. It gets even crazier. See you there.